Hello everyone, welcome to another informative episode on White Davy Gardening and Worm Farm. In today's video I'm going to be giving you an update on this experiment where I started this on September 19th to see how long it would take red wiggler hatchlings to mature. And so I have been monitoring this bin from time to time, and it's been three months since I started the experiment. Well, a few days over 3 months, and some of these red wigglers started showing sign of a clitellum within 2 months, but they are still young, so they are small in size. But you can see that little white spot right there close to their head, that is their clitellum. Some of them started growing this within 2 months of starting the experiment. Right there, that little white spot beside my thumb. There. So that little white ring right there, that is their clitellum. And let's see, I'm gonna look if I see any of them that look as if they are making the egg yet. And this I know only based on how fat their clitellum is. So I guess it is reasonable to conclude then that within 2 to 3 months these worms becomes adult. Now I'm also looking to see if there are any eggs in here. Eggs could be in the paper, but it would be hard to tell if they're on the paper. Okay, so this is the next experiment that I started at the same time with 100 cocoons to see how long it takes to hatch. And within 2 weeks of starting this experiment, the egg cocoons started hatching. But even a month later, I still had eggs in here that weren't hatched. I added food scraps to this bin afterwards, and I wish I hadn't done so. It's a bit difficult to know how much of the eggs actually, how many worms I got out of the experiment. Next time I will use a smaller container. And with the paper in here, it's a bit difficult to see. And with the food scraps, these worms have place to hide. Some of them are small, as you can see. No, I think that is a new one. That's a young one. So maybe there is worm in here with clitellum that reproduce. I don't know, because unless that egg took long to hatch. But that one that I just showed you is very small. These worms should be between 2.5 months or less, based on the time that it actually started hatching. I see an egg. Wow. 3 months later. unless of course maybe there's a mature one that produced that eggs. I don't know. Most of these worms are really small. No, I think maybe there is at least one or two. Well, it has to be two adult one in here, because based on the size worms, I just saw an egg and two tiny worms, which would indicate that there's got to be at least two adults in here producing eggs. Oh, it's so easy for them to hide in the cardboard and in the food scrap, so it's not easy to see all of them. But based on what I am seeing, then I would say I don't have 100 worms in here. And I think this bin is becoming a bit too moist with all that food scraps, but yes. So I'm going to shred some paper and put in here. And I'm going to allow this bin to stay for another month or so, giving these worms time enough to get mature, so I can actually take them out and count how many worms I got from the experiment. I know that a few of them died because I saw dead ones in there over the course of this experiment, because for a brief period of time I wasn't able to come out and tend to the bin, so it kind of dried out, which is pretty sad. But yes, so based on this experiment with the 100 cocoon and what I've been monitoring over the time of the experiment, 3 months, it is obvious that worms take anything from the eggs, the cocoon take anything from 2 weeks and upwards to hatch. And based on the experiments with the hatchlings, and I started with hatchlings that were white, all of them were white, for this to see how long it takes for them to reach maturity. And I started with white hatchlings because when they're white, it is an indication that they are less than 8 hours old, because after 8 hours then they start to grow their pink pigmentation. So based on that experiment and what I've observed, within 2 to 3 months for them to reach maturity. So this experiment is going to be discontinued because we've got the final result. This one I'm going to allow to stay for a month or so, because I need to count how many worms I got out of this, although some of them died, but it will be good to know anyway. Alright, so this is my update on these 2 experiments. Thank you all for watching and have yourself a wonderful day.